Hi, everybody. Welcome to Katie in the Morning. I'm Katie Page, Director of Member Relations at the National Association of Healthcare Assistants. You guys may notice that there's something missing from my setting here. Usually I have a candle here, but I'm telling you guys, this fly has pushed me to the edge. It has been stalking me for a week, and this segment of Katie in the Morning is not going to be over until I use my weapon of death and destruction here. I have had it with this guy. He will not leave me alone. He's been pestering me, like I said, for over a week. He follows me everywhere through the office, in here, in my office upstairs, in the bathroom. He follows me in there. So I like you, guy, but you gotta go. So today we're talking about caring. Caring comes in all shapes and sizes. This suggestion actually came from one of our members of our board of directors, Karen Ganchewitz. She messaged me last week and said that there's a situation in the facility that she works with where some people don't take into consideration other people's feelings when they're working with them. You see this a lot among CNAs. We come in all shapes and sizes. And unfortunately, we as a group are very judgmental people when it comes to our coworkers. We're very caring, compassionate, empathetic towards our residents. But when it comes to our coworkers, there tends to be a little bit different of a vibe. I'll give you guys an example of that. About 6 years ago, I was working in a facility, and this older lady worked on the overnight shift, and you would come in and she had an odor to her. Her scrubs were always kind of dingy looking. They weren't always like the brightest. They looked like they'd been worn for 5 to 10 years. And on the 3 to 11 shift, I worked with a lot of younger girls. I'm not saying I'm an old maid, but I am in my 30s. So by younger, I mean like 19, 20-year-old age range. And they would just talk about her and banter her and talk about her behind her back, but she could hear what they were saying about how she smelled, how her shoes weren't white anymore, about how her scrubs either misfit her, they were too tight, or they were too big, or they looked like they were dirty. So it got to the point where it was getting so bad that this lady started calling into work, said she'd be 15, 20 minutes late just so she didn't have to deal with the shift before her and hearing those kinds of insults and really bantering on her. And so I sat down with my director of nursing, and at this time I was the captain of our NACA leadership team. And I said, is there any way we can find out what's going on? Is there something we can do to help her? So we actually ended up getting her, the leadership team that I worked with, got her a basket of Bath and Body Works, and come to find out that she didn't have any running water in her house. She was paying for her grandchildren to stay with her. So really the funds, she was like a single grandmother raising three grandkids on her own and wasn't able to keep up with the bills. So that's another thing. The leadership team was, we paid for her to get her utilities turned back on and paid a month in advance for her water bill to stay on. And it was like a completely different person. So just kind of taking the extra step, caring about someone around you can literally change their entire life. Her performance improved at work. She was normally a very good CNA, but she just went to like superb. I mean, came in early, stayed late. Bed checks were always perfect. You could bounce a dime off of her beds. After that person was up and at breakfast, you could go in and literally bounce a dime off the bed when she made it. And actually, I think she is now a LPN or an RN. She graduated from nursing school not this last fall, but the one before that. So congratulations to her. I'm sure if she's watching, she knows exactly who I'm talking about, along with the girls on the leadership team. But when it comes to working with CNAs of different sizes, whether it is weight, whether it is height, you have to work together and kind of adjust for those, especially when it comes to transferring residents. I'm not a tall girl. I'm 5'2", and that's probably giving me a little more credit than what I deserve. But I work with a lot of taller CNAs, because 5'2", I mean, you got some space up there. So when it comes to transferring the residents, make sure that when you're putting that kind of equilibrium, so to speak, between the two. Position yourself so that the resident is always safe when you're transferring them. Usually it works better if the shorter people, if you're transferring, and you don't really use this transferring technique, but when you're so much anymore, but when you're transferring with like a sheet, or even a lift, make sure the shorter person is on the bottom half of the resident side and the taller person is on the top half of the resident side. That's a really easy way to kind of equal out those portions. But when you are working with a CNA or a coworker period, whether it's dietary, the charge nurse, office staff, anybody, when that bantering and that kind of fun making goes on, it's not just the person that you're doing that towards that it hurts, but it literally hurts everybody around you. The person who's being made fun of course, that can take to extreme measures. You guys see, we see articles about bullying all the time. People that get to the point where they're committing suicide, or like the shooting in the schools. That's usually a caused by bullying. So make sure that you understand the full effect that it has on the person that you're talking about, and the people that it directly affects in that way. It also hurts the people that you're caring for, because, like I said, with the example that I gave, the lady that was getting bullied on the overnight shift started coming in late. Her work started to go down, and in as a common goal, or I shouldn't say goal, a common factor of that, the residents were affected. They were getting their water pitchers late. They were getting late changed later on rounds. The CNAs that were working on the 3 to 11 shift had to stay late, and they were in a bad mood, which in turn, whether you try to or not try to, it affects the residents. They can see the tension. They can feel that kind of aggression that's building up in you. But it also hurts the facility. There's been so many times where I've seen CNAs leave a facility because of the way that they're treated while they're there. And this could have been, like I've told you guys in segments before, it's not something that I'm proud of, but I can probably name 10 CNAs off the top of my head that are no longer in our field because of the way that I treated them when I was back in like my negative attitude days, taking bets on how long they're going to last. She's nothing but a Barbie doll. She's not going to want to get her hands dirty, and saying things like that in front of these people makes them not want to come to work. And in return, that's hurting the facility, because on an average, it costs about $3,000 to hire a new CNA and get them onto the floor as a permanent staff member. So if you think about the turnover rate, that can really build up really, really fast. And then the last person that it hurts is the community. Not just the community in the building, but the community outside of the building too. The more people that you have leaving that facility, the more people that are out on the streets looking for other employment, and the reputation of the community and the facility in itself gets tarnished because of the way that the CNAs, the nurses, the dietary staff, how it's perceived that they treat other people. We're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about this just a little bit more.
We look at NACA as the professional organization that supports the CNA, just like the American Association of Long-Term Care Nurses supports the RNs and LPNs.
As a state executive, I can tell you that the energy and the empowerment that this organization has given to our state has truly enhanced the depth of membership and the work that we do as a state association. I am very, very proud of our connection and our partnership with the National Association of Healthcare Assistants.
For more information, visit us online at nacacna.org or call 417-623-6049.
Welcome back to Katie in the Morning. Today we're talking about how caring comes in all different shapes and sizes. One thing that I do want to point out is that you can't heighten your reputation by bringing somebody else down. And this image I actually stole from another one of our board members, Sheena Bumpus. I had this on her Facebook feed the other day, and I was like, that goes perfect with the segment that I want to do. So blowing out someone else's candle will not make yours shine any brighter. That's just one of the big points of this segment itself today, is the way that you can build yourself up as a respected member of either a facility or a community is to help boost other people as well. Always put that best foot forward when it comes to welcoming new staff to the facility, when it comes to welcoming new residents to the facility. Put those positive vibes out there. And if they do have like a downfall or a shortfall, there's another image, the last one that I have for you guys today, that I also saw in somebody else's Facebook feed, but I just had to have it for this segment. Help them to kind of elevate their attitude and their performance without telling anybody else that you're doing it. I mean, a real queen straightens someone else's crown without telling anyone that it was crooked to begin with. Those are just a few pointers that I have for you guys today. I thank you all for joining me, and I will see you right back here tomorrow at 10 a.m. for Katie in the Morning.